Hi,
Hi.
neighbors. We have a fun Christmas shenanigan to share with you today. We've been making cookie mix in a jar to give to people for Christmas gifts, and we wanted to show you how we do that.
The cookie jars are a great gift for anyone. Easy peasy to make and perfect for a new baker or maybe someone that just moved into a new home and doesn't have all of the things for baking. Well,
Mhm.
it's all there in one jar.
It's the first time we've ever tried this, and they turned out really cute. So I know that anyone else that wanted to try this could do just as well.
It's really fun to make and really fun to get because it's a whole batch of cookies and an awesome jar.
Yeah. So we'll show you. We want to show you now how we did this.
All right, so here is the jar, and now we're going to layer the jar with our cookie stuff. So to begin, we're going to start with our flour, which is 1 3/4 cups of flour. And I'm using a jarring funnel um, just because we want it to stay in the jar. And this is the best way to do it. Because usually when you're putting baking supplies like this into something, it's a giant bowl and not a tiny jar. So, off to a great start. Let's just pop all that in there. All right. So, there's a little bit on there, but that's okay. That's the first layer, and we want it to be nice and flat if we can. So I like to shake it and hit it on the table like so. So now we're going to do our next layer, which is going to be a mixture here. We have 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and then we have a half a teaspoon of salt mixed in there. And that's just going to go right on top. And it's also white, so that's like part of the white layer in a way. And then we're going to put our brown sugar, which is 3/4 cups. And when you do brown sugar, you want to pack it in, and that's how you measure it. And then we dumped it into a bowl and broke it up. So then when we put it in the jar, it's not just a big clump. It looks nicer. So this is 3/4 cups put into a bowl and then chopped with a spoon. And I'm going to use the funnel again and my spoon. And we're just going to plop that in there like so. And then if you were making a jar that needed more room, this is the perfect ingredient to be packed down. But in this case, we don't have a bunch of ingredients going in here, so we're going to leave it kind of airy. And so I like to kind of stir it up a little like that. Make sure the sides are all good. Or at this part, you could make like a little design if you want to put like waves in it or something. It'd be a good time. So, pretty flat. Pretty happy with it. And now we're going to do the next layer, which is this here, and it's a half a cup of sugar, white sugar. So that's just going to go right on top. And I didn't use the funnel for this one because I wanted to spin the thing and get the sides a little, because now we're nearing the top. So there is that guy. And we have our boom, boom, boom. And now, since we're doing a super easy holiday chocolate chip cookie, this is all of our ingredients that we'll add. And then we'll top it off with some of our holiday M&ms. And in this case, since it's the last ingredient, I say to just put as many as you can until it's full. So we're going to top those in there. Maybe give it a little push into the sugar. And there we are, your holiday cookie jar. So now we're going to go into the steps of putting on our beautiful lid and our little ingredient tag with baking instructions.
When we had not ever made one of these before and doing it for the first time, we had to get creative and think how we wanted to package it. And one thing we thought was fun, we just used a regular canning jar lid. Like that, okay? But then we cut out some Christmas fabric into circles. What I did the first time, I just laid a piece of fabric over here and put the ring on, and then now we know what we want the measurement to be, but the first time we did it, I just cut around here and then took it off, and we had a kind of a rough circle, which I used as a pattern to make the rest of these cute circles. And we made this a little bit short because we didn't want to cover up the M&ms because that's the pretty part. So we want those to show at the bottom. So just like that. And then we need to label it. We want everyone who receives this as a gift, we want them to have the instructions. So we decided to do it in a way that, well, we've got the label. We tell them preheat the oven to 350. And then the three things you need to add, the wet ingredients, it's 3/4 cup of melted butter, 1 large egg, and 1 teaspoon vanilla. So you mix all that together in a bowl, and then you add your mix, just dump it in, mix it up, and you put your cookies out on a cookie sheet like you always would, and then you bake it for 10 minutes at 350. But another thing we did, we added the contents of the jar. We wrote on the back so anyone would know exactly what is in this. And also it gives them the recipe. We have the contents and the amounts. So they have the recipe for these M&M cookies if they want to make another batch at home, okay? Now, we had an idea of the size of a label we wanted, and something like this. And I looked around the house and I found this Mentos container. And so we used it as a pattern. I know, it's kind of funny, but it really was just the right size. So we just outlined it. It has the curved corners. Cut it out. Very simple. And you know, if you're making it yourself, your tags can be whatever suits you, of course. But we just want to show you how we did it because we think it turned out super nice. Right, Dayton? Yeah. Okay, and then just to not have just a plain white label, we got a red marker and just went, wait a second, in my glasses. We just outlined it like this. I just put on a newspaper so we don't make a mess, but you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just went all the way around like that. Before writing all the recipe and everything, just went like this around the edge to highlight it a little bit. And then I got another marker and wrote in the recipe just like you see here. And the back. And then we kind of had an assembly line going. I did that. Dayton filled the jars. I did that. Cut these out. And then Dayton took our hole punch. Now, tip, punch your hole before you do the writing. because otherwise you might not leave a space for the hole. And let's see, which I didn't do here, but I think it'll work out. Okay, and then I'm going to have Dayton show you how she attaches the label to the jar.
Alright, so Granny showed you how she did the top. Now we're going to do our twine wrap that's on there. So I just got a decent amount. I didn't really measure it, but a good amount because I'm going to do a double loop around there. But how we did it was you got your stuff here, you got your jar here. I went around the outside like that, and then again the other way, so that there's two loops on there. And then tied just one little knot-like thing. And then I laced on the card, which is kind of hard with this stuff, but it works. Okay. Got our card on there, like so. Hold it a little tighter. And then just made a little bow. So this stuff was pretty curly, but there's that. And this is what they'll look like. And then you can mess around with the fabric on the top. You could use like a silk ribbon or something like that too instead. But it's handmade with love, so put your own little pizzazz on it. And I'm sure any neighbor or family member or coworker or anyone in your life would love to get something like this, where basically the work's already done except for mixing it and throwing it in the oven, which is sometimes the best part because then you get to lick the bowl. So the perfect gift for anyone this winter. So thanks for joining us for this holiday Sun River shenanigan. And we will see you next time for more fun stuff.